So he's switching styles. The first round he does it with one boxer, then change with another boxer, then change with another. That is so good because not only have they got to keep their level of fitness up because the fresh boxers coming in fresh, but they've got to change styles. They've got to change tactics. So I'm talking to Sugar Ray Leonard now. He goes, but I was really happy to hear about your boxing career and how many fights you've had, mate. 142. I'm like, yeah. I'm thinking, how do you know that? It's like the Queen. And then he said, and what you do for the community. And he was very humble, very humble. We chatted for a long time.
You've met some great people. How did you meet the Queen?
Because of the award programme, and it was for services to boxing and young people. She goes, oh, boxing's a great sport. I just thought, man, I can't believe this, do you know what I mean? So you've got a lot more opportunities now, whereas back in the day, you know, you had so many bouts, but you got to put in the national championships, whether you want to do it or not.
Well, a lot of people complain, like even in the pros, there's lots of belts, there's lots of things, but it's probably good to have those stages.
It's just how life develops, mate, and evolves, do you know what I mean?
So I'm so happy to be at this club. Like you were just saying off air, there's national champions every year.
Yeah.
So what we got coming up? You got the home show, 7th of October.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I mean, you know, nothing better than when you, you know, get all the hard work's done throughout the year, and then, you know, a few times a year you have a home show, and you get all the parents to feel more involved and more part of it. And the boxers love having their home crowd, and their mates can come and watch them box. Do you know what I mean? And because we start from kids at 10. And then to adults, you know, you get a whole range of, a whole diverse group of people coming in. Do you know what I mean? From you know, different cultures, from you know, blacks, Chinese, Indians, and travellers. Do you know what I mean? It's just a great feeling. Great feeling. Always that. I think that's why I like the sport so much. To be fair to you.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's everyone's in, and no matter where you come from, what your background is, you're in like Flynn.
Yeah, so I did the level 1 coaching course with you that you run obviously around the country. You've got the boxing awards program.
Yeah, we do the boxing. I do run a few courses, boxing tutor courses, pad work courses, England boxing level 1s and level 2s. Involved with level 3 in the past. Yeah, so the full Monte, and why not? Because I figured that, you know, as a physical training instructor in the Royal Navy, so I'm used to delivering and teaching all the time. And I do really enjoy coaching people and teaching people different things, and seeing them walking in a little bit reluctant, thinking, oh my God, I'm on a level 2, I'm on a level 1, and they're probably thinking I couldn't box eggs. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And when they finish the course, they absolutely can't wait to go back to the gym to show people new things and show people how they've developed after the 4 days. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good feeling. And
we had such a diverse group when we did it. You know, you had some boxers, you had some people that hadn't ever boxed, but they've been around it, and it just the whole program seems to fit everyone. You start from the ground up with everything.
And what's nice, and I remember with that course was, like most courses, you know, you'd boxed before, so I put you with someone who hadn't, but wanted to be a coach, and it allows me to watch you coach them. So, you know what I mean, and what allows me then to watch them develop, and you know, from how they were on Monday to how they are on Thursday for the assessment, they're a completely different person. Yeah. And of course they're going back, and because we run it Monday to Thursday, what I like doing about that is, like, you know, someone does the course during the day, and in the evening they might be staying in a hotel or B&B, but they come to the club. So what they've learnt during the day, they see happening in the club, and also they get to do it. I said, go on in and take him on pads, or you've got 3 beginners here, to give them the stance, the guard, and take them for how they're going to learn to box. So it's just, you know, so it's a hands-on. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And the confidence grew in everyone as well. From like at first, like even just warm up, you know, hands in the air, everyone's a little bit nervous, and then on the 4th day, everyone is shouting it and drilling it. So it's good to see. Like it's a whole, especially as an adult, you don't really go into education anymore, do you? So when you've got like fully grown men and women turning up
and having fun,
and
that's the thing, you know, with a coaching course is, you know, obviously you've got to have a level, and people have got to be able to get to that level, you know. But you can many ways of teaching, and the best way is to teach in a fun way, a fun, enjoyable, relaxed atmosphere, and that's that way I find people learn better. Do you know what I mean? If they feel, oh, I'm quite comfortable, the coach is here to help me. Because don't forget, if you are a coach educator, and say 20 people come through, 18 people come through the door, you're there to help them over those 4 days to pass the course. as best you can, you know. So it might mean that you have to do extra. Like, for example, I'll put a kid with you, a bloke with you, who hadn't had much experience because you had. And you could, you know, so you know how to throw a jab, whereas I've got to teach him. But by you know, it also allows you to practice your coaching. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a win-win for everyone.
So what's the difference with level 1 and level 2? What do you start doing now?
On the level 2, it's more about running the gym and having more, being more experienced in running a club, but also in the sparring. You know, we want you to be a level 2 coach because it's a big thing, sparring. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have it where, you know, don't get me wrong, in boxing you hit each other. I absolutely get that. Do you know what I mean? But there's no need to be taking heavy shots all the time and open sparring hard. You know, sparring is sparring. So in the fact of, you know, you've got technical sparring, so we're working on a technique. You've got condition sparring, so you're working on a certain condition. It might be that, we're working on counter punching. So I'm going to throw a jab, you're going to come back with a counter. But, you know, a bit more spirit. With the technique sparring, it's just me and you and 2 other people and 3 or 4 people working on one set piece. Mm-hmm. And it might be block and jab. So the whole technique is on the block and the jab, for example. But in the condition sparring, you're moving around as you would do in a normal spar, looking to use that block and jab in the spar. Then open sparring, there's nothing said, you do it anyway. Mm-hmm. But there is way stages of building up. That's the biggest thing, and being more responsible of the whole club. So anything that goes on from the safeguarding, from the lesson planning, from the preparation of the boxer, in going into tournaments, making the weight, it's so much more because it's more of a leadership thing, the level 2 course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's so many like what you just said there. You talk about for hours, even learning about matchmaking. I didn't know how big safeguarding was when you said about having, for example, you go to a show and then you drop people off, and at one point you've got someone else's kid in the car. How important it is.
Yeah, it can be difficult. You know, you're suddenly left in a car with a child that you don't really know that well, and you've got to drive through town to drop them off. And, you know, that's why I say, you know, it's a good idea is to get a phone and say, here's your mum, speak to your mum today, we'll be there in 5 minutes. And the whole, you know, whilst I'm driving that kid from one place A to B, that kid's talking to their parent. Do you know what I mean? Little things like that, it just puts in, you know, you make the level 2 coach more responsible and thinking of things like that, not to put the coach, because don't forget, safeguarding is not only safeguarding children, it's safeguarding the coach, because anything could be said. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so you've got to look after everyone.
My name is Dennis McCann, professional boxer for Frank Moore and MTK Global. This is Fortress Boxing. A lot more protection, it's a no-brainer around your thumbs, around your knuckles, around my wrist. That's exactly where the problems are. They're very compact, so I feel like I'm punching hard with them on as well. And I feel like when you got sparring 14, 16 ounce gloves, the smaller wraps can't really, they're too small for the gloves, that makes sense. So these are a bit bigger and they're getting the gloves a bit more, they're making them more compact. 1, 2, hook, go.
So when did you start boxing?
So I was born in 1967, I was 10, so it would have been about 1977. Yeah, because I'm 56 next month.
Wow.
8th October, Libra.
And where was that? What gym?
Andover Boxing Club, only up the road, about an hour away. That's how I ended up in the Navy and down here, because I was only an hour from Portsmouth, and Portsmouth being a naval town, you know what I mean? But yeah, I started boxing at Andover Boxing Club. Great coach, mate. He ended up being my surrogate dad. If my mum wanted me to do something, because mum was single, so a single parent, me and my sister at home. If my mum wanted me to do something, she'd tell Billy Pike, my coach, who'd say, "All right, Quinton," and tell me off or something. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah. It was a massive, doing boxing was a massive hit for me, mate, because it was quite hard in the 60s and 70s and 80s being mixed race. Because we moved from London, I was born in Paddington in London, and then we moved to the Caribbean, the island of Dominica, till I was about 6 or 7, then came back to London. Unfortunately, parents all split up and everything, so we moved down south, Basingstoke and then Andover. Well, I remember we were going to the school, so I remember I was in the Caribbean, so you always had loads of all colours people. You had my colour with blue eyes and blonde hair, and black people with blonde hair, and everyone. You know what I mean? It was amazing, and there was no stress. Mm-hmm. I don't remember there being stress. I was only young. Went to London, mate, it was a right nightmare. I thought, what's going on here? Why is everyone against me for? Do you know what I mean? Then we moved down south, and mate, you know, put it this way, there's about 500 kids in the school, and I was the only one with a person of colour. So, mate, it was very, very tough. And in those days, you had programs on television, comedies called Mixed Blessings or Love Thy Neighbour. And on television, actually, they were going Nig Nog and Coon and Gollywog on TV. Mm-hmm. So then you go to school and a young kid naturally seeing it on TV is going, you're a Nig Nog. Oi, Gollywog. So I'd go, because I was from, I was a street kid, but I was from the estates and that lot, so I'd have a go. Mm-hmm. So then next minute I'm called up in front of the headmaster and getting caned or slippered for fighting,
Just for sticking up for yourself.
It was a nightmare. And I remember it felt like I was being oppressed. I thought I had this guy who'd called me a name, I'd kicked off, or they'd tried to beat me up, do you know what I mean? And sometimes you win, sometimes you wouldn't. But I could look after myself, but I didn't know how to fight to box like I did. So fighting in the boxing club, mate, at 10 years old was a godsend because my confidence, my courage and everything, my high self-esteem went really quickly. It was people say you find your sport, mate, it absolutely changed my life. Within, I wouldn't say months, but within a year, 2 years, I knew how to look after myself and I was sparring. And don't forget, my boxing coach was from the travelling community and his sons were travellers. Do you know what I mean? So they don't mess about. You know what I mean? You're in there, mate, in the ring first night. But I just loved it because suddenly, it's only when I'm older now, suddenly I had, because I was with my mum and my sister, I loved them bits. I mean, they did all right, but I didn't have no male role models. I didn't have uncles or dads or cousins or brothers. I mean, but down the boxing gym, because in those days there was no women, not even my parents, my mum came in. So it's all blokes, and you sort of learn how to be a bloke, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And quite a tough one as well, they were quite direct sometimes in how they spoke to you. And but it's such a good. I'm so happy I found boxing, and I feel that when you look back at your life, I'm 56 next month. You look back and you think, God, that was a massive, massive turning point. Do you know what I mean, in my life?
Yeah. And would you say were you getting in less trouble when you was in the gym finally?
Well, that's the funny thing. Me and my mates went down to the boxing gym. I said, well, I've had enough of this, mate. We win some, we lose some. But when you lose in the fight, it's not good. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? You get beat up. So I said, I've had enough of this. Because I tell you what happened, mate, actually, was down the, I was on the estate in the square and the people come back and you make a joke. People come past you to go into the shop and you make a joke and have a laugh. Do you know what I mean? As typical kids do hanging around the estate. And these guys came down, right? And mate, could you imagine? They was all in sweat in tracksuit and bin bags on the outside. And they had a hat on, they were sweating profusely, mate. Two of them, and they come down, they stopped and walked in the shop. I made my joke to make a laugh, and my mate went, to say, don't say a word. And I came out, and do you know what? I watched them, and everyone was so respectful to him. It's like, hi Steve, hi Carl, it's Stevie Pike, and Carl is his mate, and he was his cousin. And I thought, and when they ran off, and they got a drink, and they ran off, right? And I went, who's that? He went, they're boxers, Q. If we take a mickey out of them, we can't outrun them. They'll catch us and beat us up. But do you know what? I was like, mate, how much respectful was the estate kids to these people? Mm-hmm. And I was like, where is this boxing gym anyway? Do you know what I mean? So we went down the boxing gym, and they're all down there, and and never looked back. And we got in the first day. I got in there and crying and kicked off a little bit. It was a bit different in there. Like there wasn't the awards program. Put it that way.
What was it like then compared to now?
Mate,
it must have changed so much.
They like I said to you, they were a bit Neanderthal compared to now, swim. Mate. It was they don't want keep fitters, and they don't want no awards program. They want pure fighters. You know what I mean? And I remember we used to have the jockey championship. So all the traveller jockeys would come in, and they were brutal, mate. They were tough as you like, but they all wanted to win the jockey championship, boxing championship. And it was great for me because I had loads of sparring partners, and they were lunatics. Nothing you hit them with would bother them. Do you know what I mean? So I learned the hard way, mate. But as much as it didn't do me any bad, and I enjoyed it. It was a different time. Mm-hmm. Things have developed through there. You wouldn't put a kid in now and just put him in the ring. You'd teach him how to throw a jab and how to block, how to defend. Do you know what I mean? It didn't help though, because I sort of went down there, was all cocky. Yeah, I want to learn to fight and this, that, and the other. He went, we don't fight here, we box. I went, yeah. He goes, go on in, get in the ring. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit cocky, and I soon found out that the difference between fighting and boxing.
Have you ever reflected on, if you didn't have boxing as the outlet back then, what you would have done?
Oh, mate, it would have been a nightmare. It really would. A lot of my mates, you know, like I said, the estate was quite tough and quite rough. And I don't know where some of them are now. It's not nice. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's another thing as well. It was a, you know, it was like I saw an opportunity and took it. You know, and sometimes, don't get me wrong, you know, a boxer will tell you that his good parts of his boxing career, but there's some bad times as well. You know, where you lose and you train so hard. You think, oh, you know what I mean? I'm also go out with my mates and enjoy myself out there and go to parties and this, that, and the other, because you sacrifice so much to be a top athlete.
So going into your teenage years, I'm guessing it must have got a lot harder with the social life.
Very much so. You know, you have to sacrifice. But, you know, hard work pays, mate, and it develops you, and it develops you as a person. And I always tell the young kids now, I say, look at me now. I'm 55. You want to go out clubbing? I can go out clubbing. I can go and have a drink. I can go out and have a party. Nothing's going to change. The only difference is you make, whilst you're young and strong and fit and energetic and enthusiastic, you do now, you go for it right now. You hear me tell the kids all the time, don't you? This is your time to make a difference in your life and put yourself on the right path of learning about hard work and stuff like that. You know, it's not, you know, don't get me wrong, you can go, oh no, I'm not into all that. And when I say about making a difference, I don't mean you've got to go boxing or you've got to do a hardcore. It might be that you do drama, or you play a violin, or you do piano, but you do something. Do you know what I mean? It might be painting. You know what I mean? And I always say to parents, you know, when we have these the awards program, you know, get your kid into something, mate. Let them have a passion about something and enjoy that time. And then they learn about discipline and how long it will take to paint. You have to take it off and start again.
Yeah. Do you appreciate just people that are professional in anything? Just because like kids nowadays, it's so easy. You've got your social media, your Netflix, your fast food. People don't have to do anything. You could go to school and sit at home and vape, and that'll be your life. And you can be comfortable.
I feel sorry for them. Do you know what I mean? And the parents need to push them. Even if the parent's not gone down the ideal route, the parent needs to go, I don't want them to do the same as me, and push them hard. Do you know what I mean? You can't, because that's another thing as well. You know, I take them out to my mum. I don't even know how she done it, to be honest with you. Because I said there was the estate or there was boxing. My sister chose, she didn't do sport or anything. She went into the estate. So we had some problems, do you know what I mean? Luckily, but she ended up being a lawyer in the end. So she turned herself around, do you know what I mean? So we're very proud of her. But at the time, it was quite difficult. So my mum was dealing with that. And she used to say to me, I'm so glad you found boxing. You was down there nearly every night, do you know what I mean? Because I enjoyed the environment because I think I was around blokes. And I have parents here, mums who come, single mums. It reminds me, they say, Q, you're a real role model here. He sort of says, Q says that, you know, I should drink water and I should eat fruit and I should do this, you know. And that's how Billy was with me. Do you know what I mean? You sort of, you know, your mum's your mum, but somewhat a role model or a father figure is very important. And what I say to parents is they might find that role model in drama or in playing the piano, you know, because they've got a bloke who, you know, who's getting another point of view from an adult man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so how many amateur fights did you have before you went into the Navy?
90. In those days, you didn't have youth. You had schools and juniors. Then you was a junior till you was 18. Then you turned 18, and then you become a senior. And
it was open. You'll fight anyone. 18.
Well, I'd had 90 bouts, and I only lost about less than several. I mean, so I joined there, and it was different in those days. The reason why people of my era had so many bouts was it was on every weekend. There wasn't like, you know, Space Invaders and stuff like that. There wasn't no internet. Do you know what I mean? It was all, you know, everyone played sport. Everyone, you know, rode bikes or ran around. Do you know what I mean? There was no distractions, not as many distractions. So there was thousands of boxers, mate, thousands. You could, you know, getting through them. I mean, just getting out of your division, you'd have to box 6, 7, 8 times, and then you was regional champion. That meant something, mate. You'd box 6 or 7, 8 times to get out of your region. So, you know, and then you had to box someone like London. And it was a known thing in those days. If you beat the London champion, odds on, you'd win a title. because they were so big that they'd had to have even double more I had. Do you know what I mean? And also you could box, compete 2 or 3 times in a day. Quite a few times, mate. I boxed at about, I don't know, at 2 o'clock and then boxed again at 7 o'clock.
Wow.
Quite a few times. And you could actually box 3 times. And I was down to do it once. And I thought, God, am I boxing 3 times? Bill went, yeah. And I was quite proud of that because I'd won titles before and I boxed twice before. I was up for a new challenge, do you know what I mean? But I stopped the first 2 boxers, so the third one pulled out. I was a bit, you know what I mean? Because I was going to go for a hat trick, you know what I mean? But I figured he went, mate, I'm not boxing him.
So when did they change that? Because you wouldn't be able to do that now, would you?
No, you couldn't. I'm not too sure, mate. It was because I joined the seniors. I joined the Navy at 18. When I had 90 juniors, I then joined the Navy and started boxing as a senior.
How was that?
What was
the comparison like?
That was 1985, so it was still going in 1985. You could box 3 times.
Was it a big step up going as a senior?
Mate, it was an absolute nightmare because I'd won the national title, and ABCs it was Class B, and they said, right, and that's where they saw me box. They'd been following me, tracking me for a while, because especially the Army and the Navy, they were trying to develop their international, their Army boxing club team and their Navy boxing. They were full-time athletes. Do you know what I mean? They called them tracksuit soldiers. So what happened then was I'd come out of the national championships and I won, and they were all there, the Army, the Navy and the Royal Marines. Royal Marines and Navy are together, do you know what I mean? But they were trying to convince me to join them. The Navy had the biggest clout because they took my details, and because I only lived in Andover, which was an hour away, they invited me down to come down to the Navy base and train with the full-time team. I went, yeah, all right, I'll come down. So I went down there and I trained with them for 3 or 4 days. And I said and I was talking to them, in downtime. I said, so do you just train all day? They went, they have the Navy versus Birmingham, Navy versus London, Navy versus Manchester.
And you're getting paid for it.
And you're getting paid. And I went, I'm in. I'm in like Flynn. Because in my head I was thinking we could box senior, do as well as I did as a junior, get right up there and then turn professional. Do you know what I mean? That was the plan. And joined, and it worked like that. It was brilliant, and it was all going really, really well. What happened was I see a scar down there. I got an injury, but I had 52 bouts, so I had 142 bouts in the end. 52 as a senior. Yeah, got to semi-finals of the ABAs twice, but it was tough. You talk about a Navy boxing team, wouldn't you? So I joined them, right? And say there was about 18 guys. 12 of them were in the top 10 in the country. Different weights. I was like that. So sparring, flipping nightmare, bruv.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was an absolute nightmare.
What weight were you back then?
Lightweight. I boxed lightweight, light welter and welter when I was in the Navy. But
and did they put you in with everyone in there?
Yeah,
didn't really matter
mate,
about weight?
The first geezer, when I got there was a guy called Davey Robb, really, really good boxer. And he had hundreds of fights. He was about 23, 24, and he was a bloke. But I was only 18. And I suddenly realised that not only is he a team captain and head guy of combined services, and he won this and won that, and a Scottish international, but he was my weight. And I was like, oh, mate, that's all I need, do you know what I mean? So when the Navy Championships came up, that's all I had to box. But I thought about if I go up, you had a guy called Brian Kearney, who was another ABA finalist, and you go down, you had a kid called Colin Day, who was an England international. So you were like between a rock and a hard place. And it went on all the way up through the weights.
Would you say that bettered you, though, just because
that
100%,
was... mate.
If you didn't have that.
Sparring was like a bout. Sparring was, it was like, when you sparred, I thought, oh my God. And because you was training all the time, you sparred a lot. But it did better me, yeah, because you got used to being in with blokes, because I was 18, I was a senior. Really good ones as well, at a good level, so you had to up your game. But like I said to you, I only lost about a handful of boxes and bouts out of 90 fights, so I wasn't like a beginner, I was all right.
Did you find that, because the training was so hard, the actual fights with other people were pretty comfortable?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought, this is me, mate, I need to turn pro, but we'll do this first, and...
So what happened with the injury with the wrist?
Yeah, it was just an underlying thing at first. It used to hurt and this, that, and the other. It just got worse and worse and worse to the stage that I had to have an operation and it got fused, so it doesn't move at all now. Do you know what I Yeah, and also the hand stuffer, because you see a difference in the thumbs there. That's been where back in the day you never had the thumb sewn in. The thumb was stuck out, and then they sewed it in.
Yeah.
So if you missed the punch, you dislocate it like that, and that's why it's pushed back so far. So I was quite lucky because some people, their knuckles were back. I mean, if you hit a wall or something, you do. But the gloves were made of horsehair in those days. Well compact, but not like the nice foam that you get now. You know, it wasn't like that at all. A well-used pair of gloves with horsehair was like wearing 6-ounce gloves, I'd imagine. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, but the Navy experience was fantastic because it developed me as a person. It took me up to, I got ranked number 4 in Great Britain and 2 in England. So I was right up there. Do you know what I mean? Didn't quite make it right to the top like Olympics or anything like that. But
what was the peak of your fighting career?
Boxing for England as a kid, but winning titles as well was a massive thing. Do you know what I mean? As a boxer.
Did your family come and watch?
Yeah, it wasn't like that because I had my mum and my sister. They came and watched a couple of times, got club shows and that lot. When I boxed for the inter-service title, Army, Navy, RAF. Do you know what I mean? But it was quite difficult in those days because you couldn't just travel. And if you didn't have much money, you were proper. Getting a transport down there was quite difficult. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said to you as well, it wasn't really a female thing. You know, unlike now, it's a lot better now. I mean, everyone's involved, do you know what I mean? But in those days, no, not so much.
So you said during our coaching course that you never even expected to be a coach. That was never on the cards.
No, and I tell kids that. It's a nice story, actually, because I think it helps a lot of people. I always say, look, the idea was to become a world boxing champion. I love Sugar Ray Leonard and Muhammad Ali. In my era was Thomas Hearns and Marvin Hagler. So, and used to watch them all the time and try and emulate them and listen to what they said and what they did. And you'd copy it, as far as I was concerned, I was going to become a professional boxer, even at 21, 22. But then when obviously the wrist injury went and I couldn't do that, I had to stop. And then, but the Navy, luckily I was in the Navy, so I was supported. And they said, look, you're still getting paid, you've got a job, why don't you just stay in the Navy and become a physical training instructor and become a boxing coach? That was always the plan, that you stayed in there. That was their plan. It wasn't my plan. I mean, I sort of went along with it, but it happened. And to be honest with you, because I started coaching now, and now I'm on my own club, and I'm on England and GB, and I did GB, and I have some great times. I have some really brilliant times. It's worked out really well. If I turn pro, if I'm really honest with myself now, the people who beat me, or the people who were as good as me, or even people who I beat but was close, they turned pro. And I don't think, I don't know what even happened to them. And they were better than me. So, because I hear the pro game's hard now, but in 1990 or 1989 or 88, it would have been a lot worse, wouldn't it? I'd imagine. So, so because I'm happy where I am now, I'm quite happy that this happened. And you wouldn't know about that, would you? All the time I've been coaching you, and you've been part of the club and part of the program. A lot of people go, oh, I didn't see that. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm still able to do pads and still hit things and stuff. So we're all good.
That's the biggest thing, doing pads for that.
I know. I got told when I had the operation, the doctor went, I think your pad days are over and you won't be able to punch anymore. But you don't know who he's dealing with, do they? No, but I just went, oh, okay.
Do you find the air pads are actually helpful on taking the impact as well?
I don't know how. Even without this, I don't know how those people do pads with those little ones with the elbow joints, because even with air pads, I mean, it takes so much out of the shot. Yeah. Sometimes I'm in a situation where I've got to do pads and I haven't got air pads, so I have to use those little ones. And it's hard. I think, how do people do it? But with an air pad, don't get me wrong, I've used both. But with an air pad, the shoulder and the joints are so much more protected, and it doesn't hurt as much. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't take its toll, and avoids. It's injury prevention. That's what I should say. It's injury prevention. Just like before you do pads, you should move your shoulders and move your elbows fully, and your wrists and your fingers, because your body's not designed to take it. Do you know what I mean? I tell you something else that helps as well. Doing light weights, like high reps, because it keeps not only your muscles, but your ligaments, your tendons, they're taking the impact as well. So by doing getting a light bar and doing a lot of weights, I show coaches all the time what I do, because I do a lot of pads all day, every day sometimes, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And rounds of it, you know, with big hitters as well. So air pads are important, I think, and exercises and mobility is important, and doing some kind of strength training for your joints and ligaments and tendons and stuff like that.
Yeah, you said something that stuck with me with when you were teaching all the mobility. You said like your body's like metal. You need to. I can't remember exactly what you said word for word.
When you heat metal up, it becomes really bendy, right? And your muscles are the same. If your muscles are cold, they're not bendy, so you've got to warm them up. You know what I mean? So before a coach goes and does pads, he should do big body movements, get the heart rate going up a little bit, and prepare his body or her body for doing pad work. And as a prevention measure, I'm not about doing a big bench press. I'm about getting a weight, and I'm doing shoulder press and front raises and upright row, biceps, triceps, you know, and the forearms as well, and even wrist curls, just with a light weight, just to keep the tendons, the ligaments and the muscles strong. Yeah.
So with coaching, how much have you learned? Have you learned from a lot of mistakes from when you first started in the Navy till now?
Yeah, I always tell people, coaches, I said, I remember I become about a level 1 coach, and I joined HMS Sultan in Gosport, and I trained up my team, and out of the blue, this army unit. Where do they train the officers? They train the army officers. Mate, it'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, they phoned up and said, we see here you've got a boxing team on your camp. We'd like to challenge your camp. And me being an athlete, I went, yeah, all right, mate, no worries. So we challenged this. We accepted the challenge with this army unit. So anyway, I'm training my boxers, which as the first time. You know what I mean, it's my experience as a coach. I've been coached by a lot of people, I mean, really good coaches as well. So I've trained these boxers up, and we've taken a bus up to this army camp. Do you know what I mean? Mate, they all lost. And the one that was winning, his arm got dislocated, and he lost on a foul. So I lost 10-0. So I came back in the office and I was fuming. But do you know what I found out? I found out that they actually took the army. They took, I should have known it really, but they took the army guys and they trained them full time every day for 6 weeks prior to the show. So these guys were really fit. Whereas my trainees were coming in for an hour or two in the evenings, 2 or 3 times a week, which I thought was quite good. But not if you're taking on a team full time, because even if my lads were better trained or technique than them, the army lads were really, really fit, so they just kept on going. So what I did, I said, oh, well done, mate. I came back thinking, okay, lesson learned. I wasn't ready for that one. So I offered them a rematch the next year. I said, oh, you have to come to us next year. They went, yeah, right. And mate, you can imagine what happened there. Now I trained them like a SAS team. Do you know what I mean? So then we beat them 7-2. So it was all good. So we got our return.
What a story!
But my first as a coach, I lost 10-0. Not the most inspiring thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's needed, right?
Yeah, it was needed. You know what I mean? Because you sort of you finish up as a high level boxer, and you sort of think, yeah, you're going to be a high level coach. But coaching is completely different to being because you're a good boxer doesn't mean you're going to be a good coach. And that was a lesson learned straight away. Oi, you're not as good as you think you are.
So what makes a good coach?
Patience is massive, absolutely massive, and empathy, understanding where the boxer's coming from, their background. See, my coach, the reason why I loved him so much like a dad was because he understood where I was coming from, because he understood that I was coming from a major minority, as in the only one, yeah, because he was a traveller, wasn't he? So he understood about being singled out or isolated and that lot. So he had empathy with me, do you know what I mean? And he also understood that I had no money. And he said, right, mate, and here's what I do with the kids here. He said to me, right, mate, and he said it out, you know, he's right abrupt. He went, you've not got money again, have you, Q? Quinton. I went, no, coach. Shit, what am I going to say this time? Do you know what I mean? Because I had more excuses than you can shake a stick at. He said, I'll tell you what we'll do. Just forget money, but nothing comes for free. Don't forget I'm 10, all right? You will come and help me train these beginners in the first session, and then you can train. But nothing comes for free. You have to work. And I do that here. if some kids haven't got money, I say, right, you have to go and teach that kid how to box, or this, that, and the other. Come in early and help out. And then we have the same system here. Do you know what I mean? That was flipping 1977, 1978. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's such a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
So
but I learned
value.
I learned values, yeah. But you know, there's a lot of things that are different nowadays. I mean, you know, at 9 years old, I used to do like a paper round. And no, I didn't actually, a milk round. The milk guy used to come, drop the milk at our house. I used to get up and help him with the milk. Do you know what I mean? To raise money. You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong. You know, I and then I had a paper round when I was old enough, and all the way to about 14. Do you know what I mean? Because you had to make it work. If you didn't work, you wouldn't get that money. Mm-hmm. So values were learned real quick. Yeah. And having him in my life was a major hit, mate. And his family. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And did you find, when you came from being an elite boxer to a coach, there's so many people with different goals. Someone might just want to get fit. Someone might just want to have just one fight in their life. Someone might want to be a world champion.
Yeah, and that's quite important to find that out, because, you know, you got many things. Like sometimes it's the parent. The parent wants it more than the... Here's a couple of things sometimes to think about. I'd say to coaches, be careful of this, because I've fallen foul of it, where the parent wants it more than the actual kid, or the coach wants it more than the boxer. The coach sees a really good talent, and he's gone ahead thinking, or she's gone ahead thinking, right, this kid's going to do this, going to do that, and I'm going to get him in this championship. But the kid doesn't actually want that. The coach is pushing the kid into it. Oh yeah, I'll do that. But then when the kid's like now not really bothered. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or the parent wants it. The parent might have boxed before and done really well, or the parent might not have boxed before, but likes the idea of being a boxer, you know, but didn't actually have the guts to do it themselves. Not the guts, but didn't have the opportunity to do it themselves. So they want to get the kid to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And how do you find managing expectations if you've got a young and hungry kid that wants to fight every week and he's not there yet, and maybe there's quite a... Obviously, there's levels that you want to teach
honesty
them.
is good, but it's the way of doing it. You know, like a soft and hard. Do you know what I mean? Let's say, for example, you want to go in the national championships, and I'll say, right, let's watch the national championships. This is the kid here. Or I'll say, right, watch this kid. Look at that. And I go, blimey, who's that? That's national champion. Do you mean, well, that's the Southern Counties champion. That's how good they are. And the kid, I said, you can't just go in the national championships. You've only had 3 fights. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But there's more opportunities now, though. Actually, like there's, you know, you can go in the under development championships, under 10s or 5 to 16. You know what I mean? There's a lot of box cups and that lot. So you can actually, if you plan it correctly, you can put the kid in the right tournaments. To build them up. Do you know what I mean? Even the university students, they're going to go in the British University Championships, the Bucks. Mm-hmm. So they could, you know, you get one kid who's had, you know, 2 or 3 fights, you put him in the under 5s or under 7 bouts, then you have the 5 to 16 category, then you have the 16 at Omen. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So you've got a lot more opportunities now, whereas back in the day, you know, you had so many bouts, but you got to put in the national championships, whether you want to do it or not. Do you know what I mean? Which was all right if you knew what you were doing, but it wasn't all right for some.
Well, a lot of people complain, like even in the pros, there's lots of belts, there's lots of things, but it's probably good to have those stages.
Yeah. I mean, there's intercontinental and interim, and I don't follow the pros as much as I do with the amateurs, but I do see that there's other stuff, and there is levels, isn't there? And maybe that is. I mean, I've heard it say, back in our day there was 1 belt, and if you were the world champion, you were the world champion. But it's just how life develops, mate, and evolves. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's quite exciting when you see, he's got 2 belts and he's got 2, and if he wins, he's going to get all 4. And I love those pictures with all 4 belts. It looks quite good, doesn't it? Yeah. So there's ups and downs, and there's 2 ways to look at it. You know what I mean?
You don't follow the pros as much as the amateurs in?
No, but I keep getting told by our coaches we should turn pro, and you know, there's some kids, really good kids here, who I think their idea is to do that. So, you know, watch this space. You never know.
So would you ever maybe look at being a pro coach then at some point?
Yeah, I'm not against it. I'm not against it. It's just that I've held off for about 7 or 8 years. Do you know what I mean? But there's a lot of coaches here who seem to think they'd like to do it. There's a lot of boxers who say, okay, if you turned, we turned, I'd like to turn with you, you know, which is quite nice. Yeah. You know, and I think that to have something down the south, there's some good clubs down here. Do you know what I mean? But I think there's not a lot, so more opportunities would be quite good. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm coming around to it. Having Joshua Buatsi here for the second time and watching what he does and being involved a little bit, you know, it sort of gets you interested and think, oh, do you know what, we could actually do it. So yeah, that's quite interesting.
It is exciting, and you've trained so many amateurs that have gone on to be pro now.
Yeah, you know, and I get on quite well with boxers, I think so, you know. So, you know, I think I just want to be in a better stable position with the club and with other things, certain other things before I do. And when we're in the right position, then we'll make the move probably.
That sounds great. So when did you leave the Navy and start doing like the boxing awards and everything else?
Well, when I was Navy boxing coach. So when this happened, I went into coaching. So like I said, about 22, 23. And I'm 56 next month, so I've been coaching for well over 30 odd years, you know. So it would have been 92, 93, do you know what I mean? 93, went into coaching, yeah. And it started off with level 1 and then level 2. Then I was involved with I was able to then get onto the they said if you've got to be a level 4 to be with England. And in those days as well, it makes me laugh because you have to be a level 4 to go into schools, which I couldn't believe, you know, because I thought, God, but a top level 4 coach to go and teach a 5-year-old how to throw a jab. Why would you do that?
Why was that?
I don't know, it was just the way it was, that you had to be a level 4 to go into schools. And I couldn't get my head around it, you know. I was like, why would you have a level 4 coach going to a primary school or secondary school when he should be teaching elite fighters? Do you know what I mean? So that's why the boxing tutor turned out. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I got level 4. So I'm a level 4 England coach. I've now done the AIBA level 2 now, so I'm a level 2 international coach as well. Which is nice to do courses because you're always learning. Do you know what I mean? I love doing courses because you learn things, you know, all the time. But then, so I started coaching, and I was like I said, HMS Sultan, HMS Collingwood. Then I went on a warship because I was in the military. I trained boxers on the ship. When I went to the Falklands, I was down there for 6 months, and I started boxing down there. And I landed the job in Nelson. Then I became the Navy boxing coach, and I was Navy boxing coach for the last 6 years of my career, which worked in brilliantly because I was able to, you know, I was a full-time coach, and I was able to marry it up with working with England or Team Great Britain in those days with Terry Edwards. And I got a lot of experience working on the international scene. Terry Edwards, the England coach in those days, 2004, 2005 and 6, would bring Amir Khan and Frankie Gavin and some real top kids down to Jeffries and David Price. They'd all come to my gym in the Navy and spar my Navy boxers. So suddenly I've got these top international boxers boxing my lads, you know. And I'm watching them, and then Terry Edwards said, "Look at that kid, he's a good kid." Next minute, they're getting international vests and stuff as well. So I'm thinking I must be doing something right, you know. But so I was Navy boxing coach, and I was head coach of British Armed Forces, and I got on the England team with Terry Edwards. And that was in 2004, 2005. So yeah.
Was that a big step up going to the England team from the Navy?
Oh,
was
mate,
it
was massive. It was massive, yeah. So these lot here. So look, you've got Tony Jeffries, you've got Billy Joe Saunders, you've got Afau, you've got David Price, you've got Frankie Gavin. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so many top fighters there. Do you know what I mean?
So what was it like going from the Navy to suddenly coaching these guys?
Yeah, so, you know, and I'd only just sort of become a level 4. So I was quite, mate, I'm right up there now.
Did you feel imposter syndrome at any point where you were?
I'll tell you why, I was quite lucky because I'd had 142 boxing bouts and I'd been up Crystal Palace, you know, as an England boxer. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't, not imposter, but it was like, I couldn't believe that I was stood here as a coach when normally I was there as a boxer. You see what I mean? So, and because I'd done the Royal Navy physical training course, I was a PTI, so I was used to taking lessons and taking, you know, loads of blokes and females for sessions anyway. So delivering delivering a fitness session or a training session was all right. And all you just switched it to boxing, didn't you? So do you see what I mean? Even, to be fair, I did the PTI training, the PTI course, before I did the England boxing coaching course. So I was a trained instructor You see what I mean?
Yeah,
You're taking people through assault courses and taking people for circuits and getting them fit and taking organising football and rugby and hockey. So I was used to organising stuff. So when I went on a boxing level 1, me getting out and taking a warm up, I knew more better than the instructor.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And how to do a bleep test. Mate, I've not even done bleep tests. I've run bleep tests left, right and centre. Whereas, this is a new thing. Well, it might be new for you. In the military, we do it all the time. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think I had that problem, but it was just talking to the coaches who trained you, not now as a boxer, like I go, but now as a coach. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Or standing there where normally you'd stand there as a boxer, you stood there as a coach.
How did you find it internationally? Obviously, England boxing, we've got our own sort of style. You see in the amateurs, everyone, there's a few different sort of styles you've got, but then you've got in the Europeans, you've got like the Russian, Soviet style, like Ukraine. Yeah. They're all completely different how they drill boxing. Yeah. How did you find when you've got on the England level, going abroad,
transition into
trying to beat that style and everything? Was it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not joking. Like people like Kazakhstan, they are not normal. They are so fit and so strong and so tough. No matter what you hit them with, it doesn't matter. They just keep going, and that's why sometimes, we in England we teach about changing angle and keeping it in the different ranges, and what to do after you've punched your first shot. If you stay there, they'll just come back. You've got to be pivot in or moving your head, and before you attack, what you do before, what you do after, and it's all these things to think about that you must think about when you box these type of people. Do you know what I mean? Or long range, or short, stocky, aggressive. Do you know what I mean? So it's switching styles, and that's why you see the sparring we did today by putting a fresh boxer in. So you've got one boxer in the ring, isn't you? So you put it first round, he does it with one boxer. Then change with another boxer, then change with another. That is so good, because not only have they got to keep their level of fitness up, because the fresh boxer's coming in fresh, but they've got to change styles. They've got to change tactics and what technique they're going to use against that opponent. See what I mean?
Yeah, that's very smart. I'd never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
I thought it was more for fitness, not for the styles as well.
No, it's about 1 minute you box Darwin, you're sparring Darwin, tall, long, rangy, strong. Right? Then you got Conrad, who's like, he's like a slippery fish, isn't he? Mixing, changing angles. Then you got Harry, Hatchet Harry, who just comes forward, yeah. Then you got Sol, who's a southpaw, tall and rangy and strong. So you've had to change styles 3 or 4 times now, haven't you? Which is brilliant. And the tempos, and they're coming in fresh. So you've just done 2 rounds, and Sol gets in fresh as a daisy. So you now have had to lift not only your fitness level up, but also your change of tactics and techniques.
Do you do the same with the England guys? Quite similar?
Yeah, all the time.
So what did you learn on the level 4 and the international IBA level 2?
Oh man, they've changed it again now, but it was an absolute nightmare. I mean, they say, right, here's 2 or 3 bouts, 3 threes. Right, we want to know. When the red boxer, the boxer in the red corner, when he throws a jab, how many jabs he throws in round 1. When he threw them, how many he threw from the outside of the ring or the inside of the ring. How many jabs he threw to the body, to the head, and that's just 1 punch. And they want to know about backhand, the rear hand, the hooks, the uppercuts. Do you know what I mean? So it's analysing boxers. And being able to when you come back, so let's say we're away somewhere, we're in Romania, which we were talking about earlier on, and you're the head coach, you say, right, Q, watch this boy, because we're going to have to box the winner. So you've got to analyse both of them pretty well. So that night we can talk about it. I might video them, which will help. But in those days, they have videos, do you know what I mean? So as much as we weren't accessible as they are now with your phone, do you know what I mean? So you had to analyse it and get it right as well, because then they'll say, right, what do you think about this kid? Or what was it, who won that bout? Q, who won that bout? And give us a description. So you'd have to have the analyse. So it was a lot of analysing. Then it was about cycles as well, like the yearly cycle, monthly cycle, daily cycle coming up, building up to the event, and how you're going to break that down, and how you're going to prep a kid. Don't forget the at GB they work off a 4-year cycle.
Yeah.
So ideally they want you to join that year and be in the Olympics that year. Ideally, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you might get a kid like Boatsy came with 2 years. And here's the thing. Here's the thing as well. Batsy joined with 2 years to go to Olympics. So there's only a certain amount of bout shows you can have, events that you can have where you can qualify. But he had about 6 boxers in front of him at his weight. That's why I find him phenomenal how he's done it. He took them all down and become number 1 within 2 years and went and got a medal. You know what I mean? So so we're on the level 3s and level 4s. It gets more in depth about analysing styles and tactics and preparation for the boxer going to tournaments and that type of thing, because you're working with international athletes. The idea of a level 3 and level 4 back in that day, and I think they're bringing it a little bit more now, because they're putting on level 3s and level 4s. I think they'll probably say, back in the day you had to be a level 4 to get on England. Do you know what I mean? Whereas it sort of disappeared a little bit and they allowed level 2s to do it. It's not for me to say whether it's right or not, but I think you do need a certain amount of experience if you're going to start working with people, because you've got to be able to hold pads. Because if you go out there and I say, can you pad him? I don't want the boxer looking at me thinking, you've got to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, especially if you're just about to go fight and you're not landing clean and everything else, you have no confidence.
Pad person is not, and if you're not good at pads, you need to get good. If you're going to work on the international scene, you need to get in there and get more pads in. You know what I mean? Because when you first start, that's what you'll be doing a lot of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you find it sort of case-by-case basis as well? So you analyse the fighters, but then you've got to go to your fighter and you've got to try and...
And he might not like doing that, or she might not like doing this, or what you want them to do.
What the plan is, yeah.
But if they don't do it, the odds on they won't win, because you need to be able to use this tactic or this technique. But 9 times out of 10 they do. It's very rare you get that. You sit down with them and they'll go, and have a conversation, that type of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I was talking to Ryan Garner yesterday and he said exactly that. Even though he's a come-forward fighter, when he won the Europeans, he said how naturally he can box, he can do what he has to do depending on the fighter. Like when he had to beat Italy.
He's quite good on his feet.
Yeah.
When he gets on the back foot and starts dancing and moving around, he's quite good, but he likes to tear up as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that's like the amateur's so good because you have to do it all.
You have to,
You have to. So there's no real cutting corners.
There's always be someone who's good at closing you down, and you've got to be able to know what to do when you're inside. We do a lot of that as well, with inside work and what to do to get them walking back, your opponent walking back, or pivot off or step off. Even in here, you heard me telling them about stepping. You can't just hold on. We don't want to hold on. You should be fit enough to go those 2-minute rounds or 1.5-minute rounds or 3s, and working inside. Very important that you can do it all, like you said.
Yeah, and have you found, working for Team England, has there been times when an amateur has spent too long in the amateurs before turning professional, where they've maybe had too many wars, or you see people try and rush it where they want to go pro?
Yeah, that's when it gets upsetting. I think, mate, if you could stay just a little bit more and have a bit more experience. I think, you can do everything. I can get someone to throw a really fast jab. Do you know what I mean? You can develop that on a pad and even on a bag and shadow boxing. Do you know what I mean? But you can't give them the experience of throwing a jab in the ring, can you? So in a competition. So what I'm saying is you can't give them experience. And I just think that the more experience you have, that it will help. Not overstaying, like you said, but if you could get used to travelling and being in other countries and their food, because their food can become difficult, and their conditions and stuff, and dealing with foreign language and stuff like that. It's just a different ball game on the international scene. And I believe, if you're going to turn pro, you're going to have to travel or have people come over and deal with all kinds of situations. And also by boxing internationally, it allows you then to try to box against different styles and different countries and stuff like that. Because definitely in the program, they're going to come over against a Mexican or a Puerto Rican or, that type of style.
It sounds like the best way is to get them out of their comfort zone constantly.
Constantly, yeah.
That's the only way they're going to grow.
But I love that one, that saying when they say, get comfortable, uncomfortable. Well, we do it in here, don't we? We said about, it's all right being long range and jab, move and 1-2 and disappear. But you need to be in the pocket, and that's why we get the tyres out and put their foot in there and get them used to being comfortable, uncomfortable. Because you can be, once you get tighten up and you get confident in close range, mate, that's massive.
Yeah.
That's massive. So you're confident and comfortable long range, medium and short range.
So out of all the people you've been coaching, have you ever looked at someone and think, wow, he's going to be a superstar. She's the next best thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across someone and they're just leagues above everyone else?
Yeah, Ivy Jane Smith. Ivy Jane Smith, mate. I'm so happy she's back in the sport. I thought when she stopped, and she had all reasons to stop, good reasons as well. Do you know what I mean? So life wasn't quite working for her, and she had a lot of things going on. So and I supported her as best I could because I was a coach, like my coach was with me. Do you know what I mean? But I'm so happy she's back, and I tell you now, mate, she's gonna tear this place apart. Honestly, she will walk through those amateurs like butter. And then, it's unfair to say that because boxing is a very tough sport and you shouldn't knock opponents. But I just think that she's leagues above it. Mm-hmm. I thought she was leagues above it back in the day when she was winning schools, juniors, youths, and seniors. Do you know what I mean? And then she got on GB, but things went wrong and she had all the right reasons to leave. I understand why. But now she's back and she's looking like she boxed. Put it this way, she boxed a tournament the other day. And I was watching it on YouTube. And I just thought, my God, she's hardly not changed. She's nearly back to that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, she can do everything, mate. She can box orthodox southpaw. Mm-hmm. She can fight. She can box on the back foot really, really well. She's strong with both hands, and she's tough as nails. You know what I mean? It'll take a good girl to beat her. I'll be surprised if she doesn't go to Olympics and do really, really well. And I'm surprised she doesn't turn pro and do really, really well because that girl's got it all. About 22, 23.
Okay, still really young then.
Yeah, she's got years, yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyone else? But I've had, yeah. I mean, I tell you, the upsetting one was Greg Baudet. He had all the tools as well, but unfortunately, that's why they call him Iron Lung Baudet because his lung collapsed, which took him off his Olympic dream. He was on the team and going that way, but his lung collapsed, and then they tried to put it back up and they tried to staple it, but he was always injured with it and. And then he got fed up with it then and retired. He's doing all right. He's a fireman now and doing well in the fire brigade. But he was someone who was brilliant to train because he was so fit, so agile, and so big. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because he was super heavy. Do you know what I mean? Ebony Jones, another one. She had done so much as a schoolgirl. All her speed and her thing is her engine. She's like a pressure fighter, so she can throw so many shots. In such a short amount of time, you know what I mean? It would just overwhelm their opponents. Her thing when we was doing amateur was to overwhelm her opponents with so many shots and so much action. It went on for ages and ages. She'd go twice, 2 shots, then 3 shots, then 6 shots, then 8 shots, and they just couldn't deal with it. I watched her just break people, and that's why she did well in the schools and the juniors and the youths. Then she joined the army and won the national title. Then she got on Team GB as well, and now she's a pro. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So there's some exciting ball. In the Navy, mate, you've seen them, about 10 or 15 of them who all box internationally. Mm-hmm. Mick O'Connell and Jimmy Cusack, and it was a lovely time in the Navy because I had imagine you got full-time coach and full-time athletes. So yeah, you did really, really well.
Yeah. What do you think makes a good boxer for you to coach? Someone that can learn.
Someone. You've just said the word coachable. You've got to be able to listen, and you've got to believe, and you've got to practice, and you can't just go, I ain't doing that, or that's not working. It's not going to work. Sometimes I remember. Here's a typical example. Ivy Jane Smith. I've joined up to Scotland. There's a top girl, a Scottish girl, and we're boxing her on our home show, which is not good. All right, but we've driven up to Scotland. Glasgow, and she's got in there and she's boxing in the first round, brilliant. Sits down to the stall and I say to her, and I always tell coaches this, I think I told you on the coaching course, she sits down and I say, right, tell you what to do, mate, southpaw, go out southpaw, and she won't know what, whether it's New Year or New York. She went, yeah, all right, Q, all right. She went out and she's southpaw, and then she went to throw a jump, doof, Ivy's head went back. I was like, oh shit, that didn't work. And she went, doof, doof. And I was like, mate, flipping out. But in those days, you couldn't shout from the corner, especially at the tournament we was at. Do you know what I mean? But then Ivy took a step back, turned orthodox, looked at me as if to say, we're not doing that, and then carried on boxing and then won the fight. Do you know what I mean? Now, that is independence. Mm-hmm. When you've got independence, when you've got resilience, when you've got robustness, when you're able to adapt, do you know what I mean, adaptability, and you're coachable. Mm-hmm. If you've got an attitude to your coach, or I'm not doing that, what's the use of me even being here? Do you know what I mean? But when the boxer does it, Ivy went out and did it a couple of times. She thought, maybe she just got lucky in her head. Then never in split second time, tried it again. But the third time she got caught, she looked at me, turned orthodox. Don't want to say looked at me, just give me a glance. Do you know what I mean? And I was just say, we're not doing that. And then she went back, and I was happy because I couldn't shout because you could. You get told off of that.
Yeah, and to do that under pressure, obviously, when you are being hit.
Yeah.
It's not like you're playing tennis.
No.
And you can just, swap the racket on different
You know, when you said that guy came out and caught you with a shot, she weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And then she just went, this is not working, I'm changing. And I was so happy. And when she came out, she goes, sorry, kid. I went, mate, no, don't say sorry. That was the best thing you could do. I was wrong. I was wrong to do southpaw. But I didn't know that. That was nothing. Then we was in the bar, we were chatting afterwards, and we're just having something to eat and that lot, And I was talking to the coach and the boxer, and I said, and I talked about it. I said, mate, we turned southpaw thinking we'd mess you up, but it done you a favour. She went, yeah, we've got 5 southpaws in my gym. I spar southpaws all the time. So when she went out and turned southpaw, she thought, great, I know what to do with a southpaw. Boom, boom, boom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But luckily we changed back and messed it up, so...
Brilliant. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anyone else?
I'll tell you what I want to do is, the Boxing Awards.
Yeah.
So the Boxing Awards program is designed for schools. It was designed so that school teachers, youth workers, sports coaches, and obviously boxing coaches could have a structured program. It's endorsed by the national governing bodies. It can be used for GCSE PE. It can be used for ASDAN, AQA. And also, and the most important thing I like to make it is that anyone can use it. Say you're a boxing coach. Obviously, you've not got to do a boxing tutor course. You could just go online, order the booklets and start delivering it in your gym. But I think a lot of coaches think they've got to come and do the tutor course when they haven't. They can just go online, order the booklets. But if you've done a level 1, level 2 coach, definitely level 2, but level 1, it should be like second nature because it's all about teaching boxing. All right? And if your 14, 16-year-old is doing GCSE PE or doing anything involved with sport, it's like a Duke of Edinburgh or Prince's Trust, they can use the awards program so that towards that qualification.
Yeah. How can you deliver it in schools? Would it be like the teachers that would come to you, or?
Yeah. So if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, school teachers, a lot of school teachers get the course, get qualified, and then go and they put it on their curriculum, or they put it on after school club or lunchtime club. Youth workers start delivering the awards in their sessions. Do you know what I mean? Youth club opens, we've got boxing going on, we've got drawing going on, we've got music going on, and the kids go to it. If you're a boxing coach and you're just looking to work in schools, it's a great program because the kids get a booklet, they work through the booklet, like a workbook, and at the same time they've got their certificates and medals to work towards. And it's a great pathway for teaching kids how to defend themselves and look after themselves, but also it's a great pathway if you want to compete. Because you start and because you can't move on to sparring till you get to silver and gold and platinum, but you've got to be able to do the preliminary standard bronze because you've got to learn the hand defences, trunk defences, feet defences, that type of thing. And it's being used nationally now, so it's really, really good. We've got a course coming up very soon in this gym. Brilliant.
Well, I can put a link in the bio for everyone to see.
Okay, wicked.
And it sounds great that there's levels that people can go through because it'd be so easy if someone comes in that's never boxed before and the coach says, right, shadow box, jab, jab. Like if they keep coming, they're going to be taught fragments of boxing
in bits. Yeah.
Whereas when you're giving them the pathway and they have to do every single bit of the fundamentals.
Yes.
It sounds great.
Okay, really wicked. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the support and being able to say that as well.
So you've met some great people from all the coaching and things. How did you meet the Queen?
Oh, well, do you know what? It's unbelievable. I was at home on my own, right? And I heard that the envelopes come through there. I thought, and I made me a cup of tea. And I thought, the envelopes come through. I'll see what it is. And I remember, like it was yesterday, there was 3 envelopes. Right, there was 2 brown ones, which were never good, and a white one. So I opened the white one up, and it was like from a friend or something. I opened the other one up, and it was a bill. I thought, what's this? I opened it up, and it was like, Mr. Shillingford, you've been nominated, and this, that, and the other. For that, if you wish to accept it, please let us know. I thought, this is a wind-up. Some idiots trying to get me out of here. Do you know what I mean? It said, ring this number. but it did look official. Do you know what I mean? I thought, this looks quite real. And then I started getting like, my heart went a bit funny. I think this is real, you know. So I phoned Mrs. up. I said, you're not going to believe what's come through the door. I told her, she went, well, I don't know. I mean, it's just come out of the blue. So she goes, ring the number up and see what happens. So I rang the number up, and yeah, it was the House of Parliament, it was the government. And they said, yeah, are you going to accept it? Oh, yeah. He goes, well, I thought, this is not a wind-up, this is real, do you know what I mean? So then I put the phone on, I filled in the form and sent it off because he said we need it in writing. And then the information started coming through, and I just couldn't believe it, mate. I couldn't believe it. And then as well, what was really nice was the people were saying to me, I go, it's in Windsor Castle. And I said, if it was in Buckingham Palace, you'd have the Queen giving you the award. But in Windsor Castle, it's one of the other ones. I went, okay, no worries. I wasn't bothered, it was just nice. It was a nice thing anyway, you know. And it was for services to boxing and young people because of the award program, you know, and boxing for for about 40 odd years and that lot, you know, it was awarded for that. But I remember we got to Windsor Castle, and then my family were with me, and then we got separated because I had to go and get ready to be awarded. And I went and saw the guy, and he fitted like a pin on my lapel, you know, for her to put for the Queen to put the medal on. But from that, I still didn't know who was delivering, who was doing the presentation, who was doing the awards, because they keep it quiet for security, I suppose. And I got to the guy, and I was just talking to him, just out of chit-chat, as you do, you know what I mean? I said, I goes, what happens here then? Where do we go? He goes, where are you going to go? And he starts telling me about what's going to happen, which was quite good, because I do like a military night, so I like a brief. And he said, and then all you do then is march in, and then Her Highness will put the medal on your chest. And I went, oh, okay. I went, because remember, I thought the Queen only did Buckingham Palace. And I went, is the Queen here? He went, yeah, she's next door. I went, you're joking? He goes, no, she's doing it here. But you're not supposed to know that. I went, I was so happy, mate. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't believe it, you know. Yeah. Especially now, not being nasty, but now she's passed. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of history, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I said, great. Do you know what I mean? And then I said, then also, you know, it was that guy, Michael Crawford, you know, from Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, who did the Phantom and the Opera. The singer, he was getting awarded, and Penelope Keith was getting awarded. So you're in this room with all these people, you know, and other people who've done really, really good things. Do you know what I mean? And I was talking to them and finding out what they do. It's quite nice, actually. It's quite inspiring to hear what people have done and how they got the award and stuff like that. And I was like, and then of course, luckily I was used to marching. So the guy said, when I got to my turn to go in, he said, you're a military man, you know how to march, don't you? Yeah, I'm all right, mate, yeah. So then you marched out, and then when I got there, mate, I couldn't believe it, how she said, well, I thought it was just going to be like a boom, do you know what I mean? But it wasn't, mate. She I don't know how she did it at her age, but she mentioned all about me boxing as a kid, and winning lots of titles and boxing for my country. She mentioned about joining the Navy and being a Navy boxing coach, and being on the England team, and now you coach people at all levels. I said, yeah. She goes, boxing's a great sport. And then when she said about, you wrote the National Awards Programme, I just thought, man, I can't believe this, do you know what I mean? It was all good, and I was all calm when I was in there, and as I walked out, marched out, it all got to me, do you know what I mean? I was like, flipping, I can't believe that.
What an experience, yeah. Well, yeah, just to be honoured.
And do you know what as well? I didn't say it to her, but I was thinking, 6 months prior, I was at the UK Coaching Awards, and I got Coach of the Year given by Princess Anne. I felt like saying, I was with your daughter 6 months ago, do you know what I mean? So it was quite nice, yeah. So I've been quite lucky, mate, do you know what I mean?
What an experience. Yeah. And to be among other people, obviously, it shows just how impactful you've been with boxing. Yeah, it changes lives, like you said, it changed yours.
Do you know what as well? I got loads of mates, loads of coaches who I know, and I just thought, you know, without being cheesy or anything, I just thought, do you know what? It's good that boxing's up here. And it's for that, you know what I mean? It's for all the coaches who give out, because not just me, mate, coaches give out unbelievable amount of their time, you know, away from their families, away from their kids. They miss birthdays, they miss holidays, they miss everything. Do you know what I mean? The kid suddenly gets in the championship, and the wife had booked a holiday, and the coach is still there, he sent the family. he says, I'm getting the next plane. So he's going to follow him out. That happens a lot, mate.
Yeah.
I don't think people realise, not just boxing coaching, I'd imagine it happens in all sports, do you know what I mean? But, you know, coaches sacrifice, boxing coaches, from my knowledge, I was only boxing coach, and they sacrifice so much.
And it's not for the money in the amateurs.
No money. There's no money. Do you know what I mean? We have schools coming in here during the day to help fund the rent and stuff like that. But in the evening, it's all some kids, they haven't got the money. There's 7 estate blocks around here. We're in Somerstown. Do you know what I mean? Across the building, the tower block across there many years ago was on Gangs of Britain. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? We're right in it, mate. You know, and the kids go, Q, can I pay next week? I go, but it reminds me when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, so it's definitely not for money. The coaches are doing it because they love the sport. You know what I mean? And they know that the benefit it brings the community and all the kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And lastly, how did you get to meet Sugar Ray Leonard then?
Yeah, Scott Welsh is a boy, isn't he? Scott Welsh, he European champion, Scott Welsh, and boxed for a world title. But he's a good friend of mine. And he phoned me and goes, oi, your idol is coming to England, and I am in charge of the London visit. I went, I didn't know what he goes, Sugar Ray Leonard, you want to meet him, don't you? I was like, bruv, you're having a laugh, ain't you? He said, no, you come up, mate. I'll make sure you meet him in that lot, all right? And then I tell you what, I didn't clock it at first, but then he phoned me up about 4 or 5 days before. He went, listen, mate, I've got you a room in the Lampart Hotel, you know, Lancaster Hotel, in London, where it's all taking place. Mate, that's a mega 5-star hotel. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, brilliant. He goes, oh, you can bring a friend if you want. I went, well, am I staying there? He goes, yeah, you stay there. It's all in there. You get up there early. He goes, no, don't. I'll be busy, Q, that day, so bring someone with you. So I got Bonnie, a good friend of mine who lives in London, Bobby Militaris. He's helped me a lot in all kinds of different stuff and that lot. So I thought he'd love it. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, me and Bobby are in this hotel, which we can't believe the hotel room's unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? We go down there, and there's about 500 people. And it's packed, and Sugar Ray Leonard's on the stage, and everyone's going up for about 10 seconds, shaking his hand, saying how great he is, and him telling them how good they are, big smile, and then they're gone. Now, on the way up to London, I got a train, because I didn't want any stress of parking, anything like that. I sat on the train. I tell you, the train journey takes an hour and 20 minutes. For an hour, I must have sat there going through what I'm going to say in 10 seconds. Or 15 seconds to Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard, I was of that era of Hearns, Hagler, Duran, you know. But if I was upset at school or something happened to me in life as a child, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I'd look at his picture, which was all over my wall, and tell him, you know, see that he could do it, I could do it. He was like a massive inspiration. So I'm going to go now meet my childhood I'm going to meet now my childhood idol. And I'm sat training, I can't believe this, mate. And my heart's going. I'm thinking, what am I getting stressed for? It was like I was having a bout or something, do you know what I mean? I thought, Q, it's just 10 seconds, mate, just what I'm going to say. Because I wanted to say so much, but it wasn't enough time. So I'm in this room, there's about 500 people, but we're being treated like VIPs. It's unbelievable. Scott Welsh did me a major favour. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm going, Scott, me? He goes, no, not yet. He's pulled me back about a few times. And I'm getting Dutch courage now because I'm having a few rum and coke, so I'm feeling a bit better. Do you know what I mean? And then suddenly about 400 of them get moved into for dinner, and I'm like thinking, flipping, I've got to make sure I get up there. But no, you stay there, Q. Oh mate, what happened then? He goes, right, like that. So I went up there. And I've gone, and he goes, right, and he's introduced me, all right? So I'm talking to Sugar Ray Leonard now, and I've started my speech that I've rehearsed many times for about an hour for 10 seconds, do you know what I mean? But do you know what, Ashley, I was like, I've been up here a long time, mate, do you know what I mean? And I'm still going, and he's still listening. And I've got everything out, and I've got to leave him a bit emotional, do you know what I mean? I've got everything out that I wanted to get out. And he went, no, that's brilliant. He goes, but I was really happy to hear, and really proud to hear about your boxing career and how many fights you've had, mate. 142. And I'm now a little bit. I'm like, yeah. I'm thinking, how do you know that? Do you know what I mean? It's like the Queen. I'm like, how did he know that? And then he said, and what you do for the community, and your club does, you know, has all kinds of programs going and projects going on, and you help, you know, everyone and this, that, and the other. And I was like, how the hell does he know all this? Do you know what I mean? And then he said, you know, and the stuff, he was Navy boxing coach, and you're on the England team. And I was like, mate, and the awards program, I just couldn't believe it, mate. I'm actually just stuck like a rabbit in headlights. If you watch the video, I'll show you the video, you can tell I'm trying not to well up, do you know what I mean? Because I just can't believe it. I'm like, why does Geezer know that? And then it gets even worse. He goes, in fact, the World Boxing Council, the WBC, has asked me to present you with this medal for your services to boxing and young people. And I was like, mate, flipping now. And he puts the medal around my neck, and then we shake hands, and you know, and even later on in the evening, you know, we had a chat and this, that, and the other. But yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. It makes you realise, you know, how much people mean to you. Do you know what I mean? Or how much they meant to you when you were a kid. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, and he was very humble, very humble. We chatted for a long time, mate. It must have been, instead of 10 seconds, it was over 10 minutes. So it's unreal.
Sometimes they say you don't want to meet your heroes for certain reasons or whatever, but it sounds like that couldn't have gone any better. Oh, mate,
I couldn't have done it, yeah. So Scott was going, and there was, Scott was going, we saw you welling up. We was like, he's going to cry. Little bit but I just managed, mate. It was on there. The floods were coming up, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was like the Queen as well. That was another one. You know, until after you do it, you're all right until you get in there, then suddenly it dawns on you what's happening, do you know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's just a person, but if you watch his Instagram, he's great. You know, he for people who are older, he teaches them how to train and how to keep fit, and he's all about good, do you know what I mean? All about good, and he was such a lovely geezer. Yeah, it's unreal. Very, very lucky, man. I've been lucky to meet some good people through the sport of boxing, going down there when I was 10 and hooking up with the Travellers. That's how my mum went, aren't they the travelling people? I went, yeah, brilliant, mum. I'm having a great time. She went, okay, you know what I mean? Because she was obviously from the estate, and you know what I mean? But yeah, so.
It's good how it breaks the stereotypes.
100%. You know, it's, everyone's, you just do you are, ain't you? Do you know what I mean? Just get on with it, you know? But yeah, and it's nice as well. It's humbling when you think how life was tough, but it builds you as well. You know, you go through hard times, and life builds you up, mate. Don't it? Your hard times make you stronger, don't it? Yeah. Or it kills you.
So my last question before we wrap up: have you got any advice to any amateur boxers that want to pursue a career in boxing?
Yeah, I'll tell you now, mate, you're so lucky now, because back in the day, you know, you had to you had to be the national champion to box for England and go further. But now there's so many opportunities. There's under 10 bouts, there's under 20 bouts, there's under 5 bouts, there's under 20 bouts, and then there's open. There's so many box cups. And the thing to do is, just because you lost, I'll give you an example. Here, this will put it into a nutshell. There's a girl 2 years ago who came out as a first year's school girl, and the team went out there, really strong team, her being one of them as well, yeah. And unfortunately for her, she met last year's champion, do you know what I mean? And she lost her first time out, when everyone expected her to win or get at least medal, do you know what I mean? And I used to say, are you all right, mate? She goes, yeah. I could just tell, mate, that no one else was going out. The next day, everyone won. The next day, everyone won. Do you know what I mean? So now you're thinking, yeah. And it was the first international experience as well. Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, and then we got loads of golds and loads of silvers and loads of bronzes, and they all did well. All right. Like this year, I was on the same team, and she was there, and she goes, I'm getting a gold. I goes, all right, mate. Mate, she went out there and absolutely terrorised everybody. Do you know what I mean? So my point is, you know, sometimes a defeat is a win. Do you know what I mean? It's good. It's not all about winning. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, I say, look, try and get bouts in. Oh, well, he's more experienced. It doesn't really matter about winning and losing. I know it's nice to have a no, but, mate, everyone, Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, they've all lost. You know, Hagler, all the top kids, you know, Canelo, they've all lost. You know, it's not all about the win. Try and get as many bouts in as you can, and much experience as you can. The time to be upset, or the time to make sure you win, is the national championships, if you want to go on to become an international boxer. No one cares that so-and-so beat you in Bradford. No one cares someone beat you in Liverpool or someone beat you in Scunthorpe. Who gives a monkeys about that? You won the national title. But because you had those bouts, that gave you all the conditioning, all the experience, and put you on the level where you realised you had to level up, that type of thing. That's where you gauge your performance from. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because sometimes they worry about losing. But that girl lost the first time round. This time she got a gold medal.
Brilliant.
And remember, don't think you can. No, you can. All right? Years ago when I was a kid, it's really, some things in life really stick to you. All right? And I remember my boxing coach, right? Billy Pike, from the great guy, traveller, but he put his family into a home and sent them to school and a lot from the Roman League community. And he, he used to say to me, when I was a kid, I was like you are. To be fair, you're like that anyway. Do you know what I mean? But he said, look, Quinton, when it comes to winning, mate, you've got to know you're going to win. No good thinking I'd like to win or wouldn't it be nice. And so don't think, it'd be nice to win. You got to know you're going to win. Who's going to win? And I said, I am. He said, who's going to win? I said, I'm going to win. I know I'm going to win. He goes, good. And that helped me mentally because I used to get a bit nervous. You know what I mean? And it helped me a lot in other things. And then later on in life, I just thought I kept it with whatever I was doing. When I was going to the Royal Navy interview, or if I was going to a business meeting, I still say it to myself: don't think you can, no, you can. Do you know what I mean? In any situation. And I find, if certain things stick with you, don't they, in life, and you rely on it really as a little pep talk to your mind. Do you know what I mean? And to yourself. And that's where don't think you can, no you can come from. And I like it because it reminds me of my coach all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously he's passed now, but he's one that his boxing club and him are the ones that absolutely turned my life around. It's
great how all those things in boxing translate to real life. Yeah. Sometimes boxing is the easy part. Yeah. When you've got life and all the things that happen.
Well, it's been explained like that before. I mean, it's so right. I mean, let's say I go out in life. I'm out walking, and then someone says something up to me, so I feel upset. So I've been hit, But then I think, no, I'm not worried about that. I've got to carry on myself. I'm going to go for that job. I'm going to go for that interview, whatever. So now I'm on the attack again. Do you know what I mean? Then I finally find out my girlfriend's left me. So I'm upset again. Or I've been same as being put down, maybe taken account. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the ups and downs of life, you have the ups and downs in boxing. Or I lost the fight, It hurts you as much losing, especially if you're up there, losing. Remember we used to have the thing called the boxing news. It's still out there now, but it used to come out paper copy in those days. Mate, I'd live for the ratings to see where I've been rated. And it was number 10, then I was number 7, then I was number 5, then I was number 4. Do you know what I mean? You live for the ratings, and it could change your day. Do you know what I mean? You think, number 4 in Great Britain, that is so good. Do you know what I mean? And little things like that, and then that's life, isn't it? I didn't get that job, I didn't pass that exam, but you've got to get back up and keep fighting. And that's what that Rocky thing he said, didn't it? I can't remember what it is, but it's the same thing. You've got to keep going. Yeah. And that's life, life is tough. But like I said to you, I always say to parents, you've got to get your kids into something so they're off the street, get them into something they can get passionate about. And I know, obviously, I'm going to say boxing, but it could be painting, drawing, piano playing, anything, but beating a drum. Do you know what I mean? As long as they're enjoying themselves. Yeah?
Brilliant. Thank you.